weekend, race fans, and welcome to iRacing's Laser Scanned Pocono Raceway for a groundbreaking esports sim race. Coming to you live tonight, featuring the best drivers in oval sim racing, going head-to-head for a checkered flag against a three-time NASCAR Sprint Cup Series champion in Tony Stewart. Tonight's coverage of the Mobil 1 Virtual Showdown with Tony Stewart is presented by Mobil 1, the official motor oil of NASCAR. Hello and welcome to the Race Spot TV broadcast booth alongside with Andy Kessler and Tim Terry. My name is Evan Pizocco and we're happy to have you along for the ride with us. Pocono Raceway, the tricky triangle, Tim, the drivers of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series going to be here this coming Sunday. We're borrowing one of them for the time being with a little bit of heat race and feature racing coming up with you next as the drivers of iRacing's Oval World Championship trying to go head to head and see what they can do as Tony Stewart joins us tonight on the sim.
And it's an exciting format, as you mentioned, Evan. We're going to have two heat races coming up. They're going to be 10-lap heat races, and then the feature going to be 15 laps in length. And as you mentioned, the NASCAR iRacing Series World Championship drivers are here and getting ready to put on a show. And they try to get out ahead and win the race every second Tuesday night, but you better believe if somebody can come out on top and top Tony Stewart in the not only the heat races, but also the feature as well, it's going to be a huge feather in their cap.
Two heat races at 10 laps apiece, going to split the field up for those two, and then it will set the grid for the feature race, 15 laps and 37.5 miles a little bit later on. But Andy, exactly to that point, these are the best sim racing drivers in the world, and you see them every Tuesday night here on Race Spot TV for the iRacing Oval World Championship. We always talk about how similar to real life iRacing is, and there's many drivers on this sim who one day would like to drive a real race car for a living, and we have seen some drivers make that transition. Some drivers that you'll see their names here tonight have some of that experience. We talk about making the step from the sim to the real world. Tonight, Tony Stewart has to go backwards. Going from a real world car to the sim car, there are some many differences between the two.
Oh, by far, Evan. I mean, some of the difference just in general, the feel. You don't get that feel you do in the car when you're making the corners, the G-forces that these guys feel. You don't get that. You don't get that, I guess, feel of how fast you're actually going, too. So there's a lot of differences to it. I'm sure it's an adjustment period for Tony Stewart, and just like it would be for these sim racers to get out there in the real stuff. It's an adjustment period for any of them, and, you get to come in on a level playing field at the same time and just see what you got, and it's going to be a lot of fun here tonight.
We'll be able to ride on board as the night goes on and see how Tony's handling it inside of his sim rig. There's extremely different ways that you can tackle this inside of the iRacing service. Many drivers have wheels that themselves have force feedback to try to replicate the feeling of an actual car. Other drivers have motion rigs where the seat moves around you and the wheel doesn't, and you have to try to figure out where the car is going. But Tim, to the point that Andy made, in a real-world car, if you're losing the back end of your Chevrolet SS, your Toyota Camry, or your Ford Fusion, you're going to feel the car moving around. In iRacing, these drivers have to focus a lot on visual cues to see where that car is going because you don't feel the car moving underneath you. That could be the single biggest thing that Tony Stewart's going to have to deal with tonight.
Yeah, you're really missing the seat of your pants feel, especially when you're coming around the corner. And as you mentioned, car gets a little bit sideways, or maybe the car pushes a little bit. You can hear the tires howl. You can hear the tires maybe break loose a little bit on the race car, but you don't get that seat of your pants feel trying to save and manhandle that race car around the racetrack. So we'll see what happens here as we are getting close to going racing for our first heat race here this evening. 10 laps, and there's some stiff competition here. A couple former champions of the Big Oval Series going to tackle this one and try to top Tony Stewart.
And to do it on a track like Pocono, so extremely unique. 3 turns with turn 1 banked at 14 degrees, modeled after the old Trenton Speedway. You head down to turn number 2, the tunnel turn, 9 degrees of banking, modeled after none other than the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And turn 3, the Big Bend, just 6 degrees of banking, modeled after the Milwaukee Mile. This is an extremely diverse track that even the guys who race here week in and week out on the sim may have yet to handle. But we get set for heat race number 1 in tonight's Mobil 1 Virtual Showdown with Tony Stewart. Let's go trackside and take a look at the Mobil 1 starting lineup. This heat race featuring drivers in the odd numbered positions. In the current iRacing Oval World Championship Series standings, we take a look at how they line up for the first set of 10 laps. Gonna roll from pole position is the number 2, and that is a 2-time champion on this service, Ray Alfala. He'll start alongside the 3-time NASCAR Sprint Cup Series champion, Tony Stewart, who will start in second. The number 40 with Jake Sturgis to the inside of row 2. He'll start in third. For heat race number 1, Alan Bowe is gonna roll from 4th. Tyler Hudson will start in 5th.
Nick Johnston going to roll off next in position number 6 to the outside. Going to be Matt Busa in the 34 car. Was quick in the practice session. Justin Bolton subbing in for Danica Patrick. Car number 10 will roll off 8th. 9th is Taylor Hurst. And completing your top 10 is the 3 of Brandon Schmidt.
Ray Edson in the number 1 car. He's going to roll off in that 11th spot. 12th goes to the 32 with Ryan Borges. Dylan Rafferty will start 13th. 14th goes to Dylan Jones. And Tyler Hill will start 15th.
16th position going to belong to the 82 of Alex Warren. Joey Israel sit back in 17th and 18th position to the outside of row number 9. Going to be Blake Bryant. That's the starting lineup, top to bottom, for heat race number 1. Finishing positions in this heat race for the drivers going to dictate where they start. Our 15-lap feature down the line. You see the number 14 Mobil 1 Chevrolet of Tony Stewart starting to the outside of the front row. He will also roll off from the number 2 position later on tonight in heat race number 2 and as well in the feature race. These guys have had just about an hour of practice leading up to this. Many of the drivers that Tony Stewart is going up against have hundreds of hours in this sim at this very racetrack, but he's up for the challenge and he will start on the outside of the front row from Pocono. The pace car going to duck down this time as we come off of turn number 3, the extremely unique 2.5-mile Pocono Raceway. Just 3 turns as they get set to come down the 3,740-foot front straightaway as we get this Mobil 1 virtual showdown with Tony Stewart underway. The pace car drops off and we look for the restart box. The green flag waves and underway from Pocono.
Top 2 on the inside are going to get the jump. It's Ray Alfala and Jake Sturgis. Here comes the 21 of Alan Bose to the inside of Tony Stewart as they'll drive it down into corner number 1. Tyler Hudson going to try to fall into line behind. We're 3 wide behind them for position. The 74, Taylor Hurst, is on the move. The 1 on the inside, Trey Edson, going to get 2 for 1 here.
2 for 1 for the 1 car. It now sets his sights on that 34. That 34, of course, Matt Busa now on the outside. He'll get past as Trey Edson makes his move. Taylor Hurst now making a move. We'll slow it up just a bit. Dylan Rafferty now will stick his nose to the inside in turn number 2, and that battle will continue just inside the top 10 as they scramble just in front of them.
14, a little slow off a 2 up against the fence. It's really tricky to go down through the tunnel, turn 2 wide, and as we head down to turn number 3 and complete lap number 1, the 1 and the 34 to the inside of the racetrack. They leave that 14 Chevrolet of Stewart stranded on the outside, and that's obviously not the lane you want coming off of the corner, but the 46 not going to give it up. Rafferty, the next driver to the inside. That battle side by side for the 6th position. Alfala leads in front of them to turn 1.
46 to the inside of the 14 as they'll dance for that position. Matt Busa just in front of them. Stewart up the racetrack a little bit. 74 of Taylor Hurst to the inside as they'll go toe-to-toe. Looking towards corner number 2, Nick Johnston also trying to make a move. But as Evan mentioned, up in front, Ray Alfala continuing to lead this thing with the 41 running in position number 2.
Yeah, Jake Sturgis has been trying to chase down Ray Alfala since the beginning of this race here. Just 2 laps into it, about to complete that this time by as they work their way into turn number 3. That gap has slowly been closing lap after lap right now. 2 car lengths now separate the top 2 as Alan Bose tries to close in to make it a 3-way battle.
Way up the hill behind them is the number 9 machine, Nicholas Johnston, and 2 wide, a couple of rows deep. Just as they were, we took the green flag. 2 wide, 2 rows deep across the start-finish line. Dania Johnston to the outside, 82 in the middle, and maybe a little bit of 3 wide. Ryan Borges thinks about it. He'll back his Mobil 1 Chevrolet out of that, back in line 2 wide, and this battle continues. 4 seconds off of the race lead, and a 14 machine in front of them now. 3 wide out of turn number 1. Tony Stewart high, the Dania machine in the middle of Nicholas Johnston. And on the move on the inside is Alex Warren.
Yeah, they almost had a moment on the inside. Alex Warren in car number 82 was sideways as he battled with the 90 and the 14, 3 wide. The 32 going to go on the inside of the 14. 14, 32, side by side off the corner. Stewart going to get the run. The 32 going to try to fight back on that inside line as the battle in front of them continues to intensify. Stewart drives it down deep into corner number 3. Slides up a little bit. 32 of Ryan Borges. Watch that 32 car to see if he can make the move off the corner as the 03 of Dylan Jones also joins that fray. Just in front of them, though, side by side, Alex Warren trying to hold off the 90 of Nick Johnston. Johnston got a great run off turn 3 the last time.
They did
Johnson
get
on the outside of the racetrack, Andy. That's not going to be the lane that he really wants down to the tunnel turn again. This is where most of the bank it is at 14 degrees. He looks for a crossover off the corner.
Yeah, he definitely looks for that crossover right there, and he's going to look now, peek to the inside, have just a nose right there as he pulls up side by side. Now, this is the battle for the 10th spot right now. trying to get back up into it. Alex Warren trying to hang on to it. Nicholas Johnson, the preferred line now as they work their way through the tunnel turn. He'll take that spot now as they work their way through the short chute.
This battle continuing on now, 5 seconds behind the race leader. Ray Alfala still 0.4 of a second in front of Jake Sturgis. Alan Bowes runs third, also just 0.5 of a second off, and that is still very much a close battle for the race lead. You look at a couple of guys who try to work their way up through the field, who started a little bit further back, side by side, still off of turn 3, with the 32 machine just now clearing a battle that sees Dylan C. Jones battling with Tyler Hudson. Hudson on the outside, jumps to the inside of the racetrack, and we'll see if Hudson can dive down to the turn, get single file before the 03 gets there. Can't secure the position yet, and once again now the 3 behind them. Brandon Schmidt takes it on.
Tyler Hudson's been stuck on the outside for the last couple of laps. Looks like he's going to find a groove on the inside. Is just in front of them. The 32 takes a peek to the inside of the 14 as they go down into corner number 2. Looks like he's going to have the position on the inside of Tony Stewart. Behind them, the 01 once again on that second groove. 32 and 14 nearly have a moment coming out of corner number 2. 14 going to get the drive off of that corner, and he'll lead this little pack down into corner number 3. They're getting racy back here.
Maybe 3 wide, the 14 in the center. The 01 got a little brave, drove it in high on the outside, backed it off. It almost got stuck 3 wide behind and just a little bit friendly with the turn 3 wall is that 14 Chevrolet of Stewart. He'll lose the spot to the 32. Ryan Borges picks up P12.
He's got a bunch of hungry drivers right behind him as well. You mentioned Tyler Hudson having problems, basically stuck on that outside lane since the drop of the green flag here. And he continues to have that struggle right now. The 3 of Brandon Schmidt able to get around. Dylan Jones now looking to make that go around. Borges with trouble off of turn number 1. He'll slide through the grass, keep it straight though, but he's going to lose a bunch of positions.
Hangs on, could have been worse. He gets the 32 Chevrolet back on track. This Chevrolet now back in 4th. The 1 of Trey Edson hopscotched over he and the 34 machine behind. Matt Busa going to jump up inside of the top 4. Alan Bowes now closing in with the clean air up to your race leader, Ray Alfala. 4 laps to go. He wants to make it a battle for the race win.
Yeah, ever since he made the move on car number 41 at Jake Sturgis, Alan Bowes has been up on the wheel. He closes it in within 3 car lengths of car number 2 as they come up out of that corner. It's Trey Edson behind, as you mentioned, but he's going to have to get to step it if he wants to get up to these drivers in front of him. And Jake Sturgis continues to fall. He is now back to position number 5, and Dylan Rafferty is next on the list if he can get up and try to make a move on car number 41 as they continue to work around this Pocono Raceway. Lap number 7 to be completed this time by, and Alan Bowes is on the march.
Battle just a little bit further up from that battle we've been keeping an eye on just outside the top 10, involving the 10 of Justin Bolton and the 74 machine of Taylor Hurst. The 10 just picks up another spot. He'll move into the number 7 position. You see Justin Bolton flying the number 10 Mobil 1 Chevrolet colors for Danica Patrick here tonight at the Pocono Raceway. Having a good move. That position going to leave him 3.9 seconds, though, off of the top spot. There's a long line of cars behind that 14 as they try to get to the inside and find a way around. Stewart, though, able to protect the preferred lane, not giving anything up.
So he's not for now, almost 3 wide as it went back into turn number 1. Tyler Hudson able to get to the bottom side, but now he's just having trouble making the pass around these other cars around him. The 3 of Brandon Schmidt, good run off of turn number 1 right now. He's got the momentum now as he sucks up behind Tony Stewart in that 14. He'll drop to the inside now and look to make that pass as they head to the tunnel turn. And you got the 90 of Nicholas Johnston right there as well.
Going to be 2 laps to go this time. Ray Alfala now just 0.2 of a second in front of the 21 of Alan Bowes. Could it be a battle for the race lead from this point on? Still the closest battle on the racetrack was back there in 13th position. Stewart now drops to that spot. Brandon Schmidt going to take over the number 12 position. And again, 2 wide, 2 rows deep. Pocono Raceway talking about how difficult it is. Tim, these guys going at it.
Yeah, these guys are going at it for that spot. The 01 to the inside, the 90, and Nick Johnston to the outside. Ryan Borges in car number 32. Blake Bryant and Tyler Hill also a part of this battle. We're used to talking about Tyler Hudson near the front of the field, struggling a little bit here this evening, but the 90 and Nick Johnston also putting on a show.
Door to door they come, coming off for the corner as this battle continues on. Mobil 1 Chevrolet versus a Mobil 1 Ford Fusion. Down the long pond straightaway they go to the tunnel turn, looking to the inside, and actually the 32 of Borges will look to the outside, try to find anything that he can get to try to gain an upper hand.
After that slip up off of turn number 1 a couple laps ago, now he's trying to get whatever positions he can get back here. It's a 90 of Nicholas Johnson slips up there going into turn number 1. That's going to open up the inside now. Here comes Tyler Hudson to the inside. He's trying to pick up a spot here before the end of this one.
Tyler Hudson, another driver who knows how to get it done on the sim, and they're going at it. How about the 0-1 into the driver's side door of Nicholas Johnson, that time across the start-finish line, trading a little bit of paint in the battle for what's going to be the number 14 position. White flag in the air, well in front of these drivers. Ray Alfalla had to really weather a challenge from Alan DeBose at 21 to close it into just inside of 0.2 of a second when they came to about 3 laps to go. And with that being said, he was not able to make that challenge at stick. And for the final time at a turn number 3, Ray Alfalla, a 2-time iRacing Oval World Championship Series champion on iRacing, he'll take heat race number 1. Checkered flag for the driver of the 2 car.
That was a great race right from the get-go for Ray Alfalla. Did a great job hanging on to that lead. Had a couple battles, though, early on. Jake Sturgis was closing the gap on him. Sturgis ended up finishing in the 5th spot, but how about Alan Bose? A great run for him to come up from that 4th spot up to 2nd. He was really putting some pressure on Ray Alfalla in those closing laps. Just didn't have enough for him at the end.
Side by side across the line for the number 13 position. Tyler Hudson just beats out Tony Stewart in the 14 Chevrolet by what was less than 2/100th of a second, and 1/1000th of a second separates positions 15 and 16 behind. Let's take a quick look at your Mobil 1 Heat Race 1 results. Ray Alfalla, your winner, starts on a pole, goes to collect the checkered flag. Alan DeBose, he goes from 4th to 2nd to finish on the podium. Trey Edson, maybe one of the bigger movers, 11th to 3rd position. P4 is Matt Busa. Jake Sturgis rounds out your top 5.
Coming home in the 6th spot here, the 46 of Dylan Rafferty. Justin Bolton subbing in for Danica Patrick in that number 10. He will finish 7th. 8th goes to Taylor Hurst. Joey Israelson in the 25 finishes 9th. And Alex Warren, he'll round out the top 10.
11th position for Dylan C. Jones. Brandon Schmidt in 12th. Tyler Hudson 13th. Tony Stewart 14th. And Ryan Borges 15th. Also Nicholas Johnston, Blake Bryant, and Tyler Hill is going to round out 16th, 17th, and 18th position. And again, we talk about this heat race format, Tim. 10 laps, not a lot of time. We looked earlier before they dropped the green flag on this one. A nice hour-long practice session. Tony was out there for, I think, the better part of those 60 minutes, getting a lot of track time in, getting a lot of practice in the sim. But when you get out on track and these guys are going all over you, that 14 was really getting crowded.
Yeah, he was getting thrown to the wolves really, really quickly there, and I'm sure he picked up a lot that he can use in this second heat race coming up. Those drivers wasted little time trying to get towards the front of the field, and he got to race with some of the best on this service. Tyler Hudson, Nick Johnston, and the rest back there in those closing laps, bearing down in that 14. I think he got some experience very quickly.
Getting the job done is Ray Alfalla. It's going to give him a good starting position for the feature race. Andy, Heat Race 1 done. We look forward to Heat Race number 2 coming up in just a minute. Same song and dance, 10 laps, 25 miles. This time it's going to be the odd numbered position in the drivers in the iRacing Oval World Championship Series. So we'll see a couple of different names. Tony Stewart, though, once again, will roll from P2 in that one.
Yeah, it gives him more opportunity, I think, too. Another 10 laps for him on the racetrack as well, around some of these drivers to give them some more experience here before we get into that main event here in just a little bit. But I'll tell you what, this first one, a great little showing, a good piece of driving by all these drivers at this racetrack. It's definitely one of the more difficult to get perfect and get right every single lap, and it was a great one for the first heat.
We take a quick break and get to the second heat of the Mobil 1 Virtual Showdown. Ready to ride? Enjoy a new video as part of Endless Road Trip, a Mobil 1 video series that chronicles the between-race road trips of Kevin Harvick, Danica Patrick, and Tony Stewart as they ventured to several NASCAR Sprint Cup Series destinations. In this installment, the 3 Stewart-Haas Racing teammates drive through the Poconos and talk about the excitement of all racing with Mobil 1 paint schemes at the Pocono Raceway. We'll return on the other side.
I gotta say, I'm pretty excited about racing with you guys in the Poconos.
Me too. All of us driving with the Mobil 1 hood.
But even better, I booked us all Cupid suites at the Paradise Dreams Motel. Great chocolates, heart-shaped tubs, satin sheets. I can't wait.
outside, contact made. 56 slides it at a 4. Who's going to be at the stripe? Dead even, give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
You're watching the Mobil 1 Virtual Showdown with Tony Stewart and iRacing. So glad to have you with us as Tony Stewart competes against some of the best racers in the world. And we're also debuting the brand new Mobil 1 paint schemes for the cars on track that race fans will see on Sunday's NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race, the Pennsylvania 400 from Pocono Raceway, where Kevin Harvick, Danica Patrick, and Tony Stewart will all pilot Mobil 1 paint schemes on their cars. Today you're seeing them here in action before they hit the track this week. But he's not on track. Tony can be found in North Carolina at Stewart Haas Racing headquarters, and it's in that shot where Tony works closely with Mobil 1 to help push the boundaries of lubricant technology under the hood of the entire Stewart Haas team. As the official motor oil of NASCAR, Mobil 1 is used by over half the teams in NASCAR's top 3 series because of its ability to endure the extreme conditions of performance racing. Talking about pressing the performance, as we welcome you back to the Race Spot TV broadcast booth. Evan Pizzoco, Tim Terry, Andy Kessler with you, Tim. That race got going, and it got going quick. We thought we were going to see a challenge for the heat race win when it came down to it. That challenge did not come. Ray Alfalo was able to stay in front of Alan Bose. They finished 1-2 in the first heat race. We look forward now to heat race number 2. Tony Stewart once again going to roll from the outside of the front row. What do you think are a couple of the things that maybe he picked up in that first heat race?
I think he picked up how to drive this racetrack in a couple of different lanes and around some of the traffic that he had, because there was a lot of traffic in that first heat race, especially about the midway point on, when you had guys like Tyler Hudson and Nick Johnston and Ryan Borges running around that 14 car trying to get around in the 14, trying to make a little bit of a move on them as he runs around in this practice session here racing with the 42 of Dylan Duval. They will continue to run in this 10-lap session. I did see the one thing though, Evan. You saw the pole sitter, you saw the second place driver jump out to it quickly. We saw Jake Sturgis fall off a little bit in the second half of that first race. We'll see what happens here when these guys go green and who will get that jump down into 1.
The drivers right now for heat race number 2 get a little bit of extra seat time before they go green flag racing for 10 laps and 25 miles, identical to what we saw in that first heat race. And Andy, talking about the challenges of what you see between the real world side of things and obviously the sim side of things. This is an exact replica of the Pocono Raceway down to a quarter an inch. The 14 Chevrolet that Tony Stewart's driving in is also an exact laser scale replica of the Chevrolet that he'll be driving this weekend. That being said, we have seen so far that each presented its unique challenges, and we mentioned many times tonight, we'll continue to say it, Pocono is a tough track in and of itself. Tony Stewart, though, has 2 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series wins here.
Yeah, he absolutely does, but I mean, you also got to look at the fact that everybody's on the same setup here tonight. The setup maybe not good for some of the other guys. Maybe they're not used to it. Not a lot of track time with that setup. So a lot of things play in a factor in that, but other than that, it should be another fun one right here.
Heat race 2 is upon us. We once again go trackside, take a look at the Mobil 1 starting grid for heat race number 2. Give it a pole position, P.J. Sturgis, the driver of the number 57 Ford, for his second place standing right now in the current iRacing Oval World Championship Series. Will roll from pole position, and once again he'll be joined on the front row, rolling off P2 with the number 14 Mobil 1 Chevrolet of Tony Stewart. Just behind them, Chris Overland going to start this race in third position. You see to his right-hand side, the 42 of Dylan Duval starts fourth, Nick Ottinger, P5.
Got Andrew Fash, the third, rolling off from position number 6 in the 77. The 93 is Byron Daly. The 39, Michael J. Johnson. Casey Tucker in the 28. And completing your top 10, the double deuce of Brian Blackford.
How about Adam Gillen in the number 8? He'll roll off in the 11th spot. Outside to him in row number 6, that's a 30 of Ryan Lowe. Tyler Laughlin in the 51 will start 13th. 14th goes to Logan Clampett. And Shane Doherty in the 91, he'll start 15th.
Ethan Wise going to start to the outside of this next row in 16th position, followed by 17th position for Patrick Crabtree. Greg McKinney in 18th position, and 19th position is Robert Williams. That's a look top to bottom at heat race number 2 on the Mobil 1 starting grid. iRacing is the original and premier esport racing experience in the world, called the most epic racing sim ever by Jalopnik. iRacing has over 70 plus laser scanned tracks and over 50 plus laser scanned cars, ranging from road to oval and just about everything in between. If you're being introduced to the iRacing service here tonight for the first time, or for others who have been thinking about getting signed up, now is the best time to do so. If you enter our exclusive promo code PR-RaceSpot NASCAR when signing up for a first-time iRacing membership, you can get 3 months for the price of one and get your sim racing experience started for just $5. Again, that is PR-RaceSpot NASCAR. Doubled up, and we're going to be top to bottom at 10 rows deep for heat race number 2. PJ Sturgis on the inside, going to bring us to the green flag. We get set to go green flag racing right now. We head off to the tunnel turn, getting set to get heat race number 2 underway.
Watch the 57 car on this start and see if he can get that jump that Ray Alfala did in the first heat race. 47 and the 77 on the inside. Expect them to try to follow suit. But we saw it in that last heat race. Tony Stewart really got up on the wheel in those late laps. Now that he's got that experience, Evan, watch the 14 on the outside here, because I'm sure he's going to put up a challenge down into corner number 1.
Yeah, we mentioned it before we stepped away. 60 minutes of track time in practice is good, but until you get thrown out there with the Wolves, as you said, Tim, the 14 machine now has that experience under his belt, and we'll see how Tony Stewart does here in heat race number 2, getting set for the feature immediately after the checkered flag flies here. The base car gonna duck down and away once again. The green flag waves and underway. Heat race number 2 is green for the virtual Pocono Raceway, and a great challenge on the outside. Sturgis just by 1/1000th of a second with the nose in front of the 14 to Stewart on the outside. They're nose to nose and side by side in turn 1.
Yeah, much better start right there for the 14 of Tony Stewart on this go around here. He battles side by side now for that second spot. That's Chris Overland on the inside. Still not able to clear him just as of yet. How about Dylan Duvall? Recent winner here last Tuesday night. He's on the back bumper, trying to give him a push now. As the 47, Chris Overland, he'll get that spot into turn 2.
Yeah, Overland on the inside has the preferred lane. He's at the 14, though, is Stewart. He knows he wants to get to the bottom. A little bit of a challenge for the 05 of Nick Ottinger. He wasn't going to dare to go in there too wide, though. 14 went to the inside, took that preferred position, and is able to hang on for the time being. Look at the 42 of Dylan Duvall. He won here just 2 nights ago on Tuesday night for his first iRacing Oval World Championship win. He tries the outside in turn 3.
Yeah, the 42 car looked to the outside of Ottinger at a corner number 1. Couldn't get that move done. Does Ottinger stick Tony Stewart 3 wide in the middle? The 05 to the inside. The 42 tucked up to the back bumper. The Mobil 1, number 14. They'll dive it down into corner number 1. 42 almost thought about 3 wide in the middle there. He'll be side by side with the 05 of Ottinger. The 77 of Fayash trying to follow through. 42 gets a great run off corner number 1. Dives it down to the inside, down the straightaway into corner number 2. 42 going to look to take away position number 3 here.
As it goes to the tunnel turn, the 14 not going to give anything. What a move, slicing to the inside, Tony Stewart. The 42, and he should have been good off on the inside. 14 drove it in hard, though, took away that middle lane in the entry of the quarter, and did get the run out of turn number 2 down to turn number 3. 14 getting the hang of things. 42, though, not going to roll over.
No, he's not going to roll over at all. Coming off that momentum from Tuesday night right now. Good run off turn number 3. Pull up to the back bumper. Now peek to the inside just after the start-finish line. He'll give it another go now as they head down this long straightaway into turn number 1. It's side by side. That is the battle for third.
Battle going on about 1 second behind PJ Sturgis, your race leader. 1.5, 2 car lengths in front of Chris Overland. They battle for the race lead coming off of turn number 1, and a battle it may be. Better run coming off of the corner down the long pond straightaway for the 47 Chevrolet. Overland to the left rear quarter panel, looks to the inside, and we'll go at it side by side for the race lead at lap number 3.
Side by side for that top spot, the 47 of Overland trying to take it away from the 57 of PJ Sturgis. They'll dive it down to the corner, keep a half eye on this battle back here with Tony Stewart. He's got the 05 of Ottinger right behind him, but they continue to go at it for that top spot. 57 going to try to get the run off of corner number 3. Contact! 47 and 57 crossed up on the front straightaway. They are going to go spinning.
Overland into the outside fence, the 57, a worse fate. Sturgis, after the contact, into the inside fence. He'll go across the checkered pattern down there on the inside of the racetrack, and we stay green as he stays off of the racing surface. Two race leaders going at it in a battle for the race lead. Neither one of them was going to give an inch to Andy Kessler. Now neither of them are going to go to victory lane at heat race number 2. Dylan Duval now assumes the number 1 spot after running in 3rd.
Yeah, it was an absolutely fantastic job by the entire field right there when the two leaders came in contact off turn number 3. Everybody able to scatter, and that's a great product or a great showing of the front straightaway here at Pocono, how wide, how big it is, and how many lanes these guys have. They did a great job avoiding all that carnage now, and they continue to battle right now. Dylan Duval pulling way ahead right now. The battle for second, though, is Tony Stewart on the outside. Nick Ottinger now to the inside.
05 dove it to the inside with a good run coming off of the tunnel turn, but the 14 better run that time coming off of turn 3. Holds him off. Good run though. Casey Tucker started in 9th position, already up to the number 3 spot. He'll send his number 28 Mobil 1 Ford Fusion to the inside, tries it once again, and the 14 once again denies that position. Tony Stewart protected P2.
Looks like Casey Tucker got a little free on the inside through corner number 1. He's going to try it again down into corner number 2 to the inside of car number 14. Andrew Fayash, the 3rd, made up a spot. He moves up 1 around the 05 of Ottinger. The 28 continues to work the inside. Beautiful corner for Tony Stewart. Going to get a little tight at a corner number 2, and it's going to close in that pack behind him. Add Michael J. Johnson to the mix. Add the 05 of Ottinger. Back to the inside. It's the 28 and 05 on the inside of the 14 and 77. Fantastic battle for position number 2, all behind Dylan Duval.
You're really getting a good look here at all the different driving styles. As we said, all of these cars have the exact same equipment under the hood, and they all have basically the exact same car out there on the racetrack. It's going to be the driver that makes the difference, and you can see, especially turn 3, when the banking falls away. We talked about already how unique this Pocono Raceway is. 14 degrees in turn 1, falls to 8 in turn 2, and then down to 6 in turn number 3. That, especially in that big bend, turn number 3, how many different ways you can take the corner. We're side by side, though, for 4th, and side by side behind 4th, the number 6 position. Great battle to turn 2.
Yeah, all this going on right now behind Tony Stewart. The 77, Andrew Fay, is trying to hang on to that spot, trying to get it away now from the 05 and Nick Ottinger. Ottinger, though, hanging tough on the inside. They continue to battle side by side just behind him, but how about Fay? She'll clear him now into turn 3.
Andrew Fayash, the 3rd, in the number 77 Chevrolet, gets that spot. Nick Ottinger has to fall in behind it to the 5 spot. Meanwhile, now 2 wide, 2 rows deep behind. The 38 out of Michael J. Johnson battles with the 93 of Byron Daly for 6th. Adam Gilliland fights with Tyler Laughlin and Logan Clampett for the 8th spot.
Yeah, continuing to go side by side, 39-93 putting on a show. The 44 of Logan Clampett trying to come to the front of the field to the inside of car number 8 of Adam Gilliland. They'll come up off the corner. The 44 will get a little bit of a run on the inside, trying to follow that 39 through the traffic. Byron Daly had a fantastic run on Tuesday night, trying to continue the momentum here this evening and looking for a top 5 spot in this heat race as he goes toe-to-toe with the 39.
His battle 4 seconds behind the race lead, and again Dylan Duval, who was in 3rd when your top 2 got together, not even close at the moment. 2.5 seconds in front of Casey Tucker in 2nd, and then in 3rd you'll find the 14 of Tony Stewart. Remember, started this heat race number 2 in the number 2 spot, sideways off the corner, and the 05 of Ottinger's there. Contact off the final turn, and the 14 goes around.
Yeah, big problems off of turn number 3 right there. Looks like maybe a little bit of a bobble out of that 14 car, and Nick Ottinger just nowhere to go in that 05. The problem for him, though, and a great job once again by these drivers with that slow car, the 05, right there in the middle of the track. Everyone able to get around him and keeps the damage limited to any other cars here. They continue to race now.
We knew, Tim, that Tony wasn't going to be happy with the 14th place result in the first one, and he was doing a spectacular job in 3rd. Got a little bit sideways off the corner. He had a lot of pressure coming from behind by the 77, and he wasn't able to hang on because once that car went down just those 6 or 7 feet, that 05 was there. Not a chance for either driver to avoid the contact, but as Andy said, a good job by all the drivers around to make sure that wasn't any bigger.
I tell you what, though, he came to race in this second heat race. The feature is going to be fantastic to keep an eye on that 14 car as we move forward. But we still have a race to settle here. We've got 2 laps to go in this heat race, and Michael J. Johnson pouring the pressure on Byron Daly, going down into corner number 1, the 93 on the outside, the 39 on the inside line, the 77 closing in as well. The 39 gets a little bit sideways over the bumps in corner number 1, the 77. Going to try to make this a 3-car battle. Bring along the 44 of Logan Clampett with him. Meanwhile, up in front, Dylan Duval, essentially on cruise control. He's got 2.5 seconds on Casey Tucker.
Yeah, that's 0.3 of a second more than the last time we checked in. He'll collect the white flag this time around. Look to pick up the checker in heat race number 2. That closest fight behind him still with Byron Daly, Michael J. Johnson for the number 3 spot. Behind them, Fayash side by side with Logan Clampett to the inside. The 44 Chevrolet challenges, and this is still that big gaggle of cars. Adam Gilliland is still there. Tyler Laughlin and Brian Blackford. 5 cars within 2.3 of a second.
Man, you're talking big gains for that 44. Logan Clampett now showing in the 5th position as he battles Andrew Fayash for that position down the front straightaway into turn number 1. Talk about a guy on the move there. Logan Clampett started 14th in this race, already up 9 spots now to that 5th spot. They continue to battle side by side off of turn number 1.
This battle may go down all the way to the wire again. We saw a side-by-side photo finish for 14th and 16th. In heat race number 1, the 14th position was separated by 2/100ths of a second, and behind in 16th was just 1/1000th of a second. They're going to continue to battle as they come out of the tunnel turn to turn 3, but in front of them, the 42 Chevrolet of Dylan Duval, a win just 2 nights ago here on the iRacing service at Indianapolis. He'll pick up the checkered flag. Duval wins heat race number 2. Tucker safely in behind in second. That battle, though, behind comes out of 3.
And it's going to be Daly taking the spot over Michael J. Johnson. They're dead even behind them. It looks like Logan Clampett may have got the spot on Fayash, Gilliland, Blackford, Patrick Crabtree, and Teloff going to complete your top 10. And a lot of those positions from 3rd on back, Evan, if they weren't side by side, it was probably, 3/4 of a car length. They were there battling for those spots coming across the stripe in this 10-lap heat race.
1 through 19, despite the contact we saw for the race lead earlier, and then also the contact that we saw with the number 14, but she'd also in those closing laps with the 05 of Ottinger. All drivers finish on the lead lap. Interestingly enough, the top 3 come home in the bottom 3 positions, and you know that if you leave a chip on Tony Stewart's shoulder, he's going to get after it in this feature race. Look for the same from Chris Overland and PJ Sturgis back there. Let's take a look at the Mobil Run full field results for race number 2. Dylan Duval gets to win after starting in 4th position on the grid. Casey Tucker up 7 spots to come home in 2nd. Byron Daly finishes 3rd. Michael J. Johnson 4th. Logan Clampett in 5th.
6th place going to belong to Andrew Fayash. The 3rd, 7th is Adam Gilliland. 8th, Ryan Blackford. 9th, Patrick Crabtree. And old Teloff in car number 51 going to finish in 10th.
11th spot, that's going to go to the 91 of Shane Doherty. Robin Williams will finish in the 12th spot. 13th goes to Ryan Lowe. Nick Ottinger will come home in the 14th spot after that incident off of turn number 3. 15th, that goes to Greg McKinney, then Nathan Wise. We mentioned Chris Overland, PJ Sturgis, and Tony Stewart having issues at the end of this one here for the 19 cars that made heat number 2, and Dylan Duval with a big win.
Talking about ramping up the action, we thought heat race number 1 was good. How about that? We had guys getting into each other, and at one point your leaders took each other out for the heat race win, Tim. That's not even the feature. These guys now have the main event in front of them. They have the 2 10-lap heat races behind us. 15 laps, which is going to total at this 2.5-mile racetrack just over 37 miles, but still, it's a very quick race. It has been very quick and rapid action so far here tonight in this Mobil 1 virtual showdown with Tony Stewart. We expect nonetheless, I don't think those extra 5 laps is going to tame these guys at all.
And I think those 10 laps definitely helped Tony Stewart. You saw him get up on the wheel battling with Nick Ottinger and the field behind him for position number 3 for the most part in that heat race. I think we're going to see Tony get up on the wheel here. He's got 5 extra laps to make it happen, and he's got a lot of stiff competition. You look at the 42 car, he was really quick in that heat race, but as you mentioned, maybe got a little bit of a gift when those two came together and the leaders ended up coming together. So we'll see what happens here in this 15 lap feature when all the cars are together, and we'll see who comes out on top.
Today's iRacing exhibition event is in celebration of this weekend's Pennsylvania 400 presented by Mobil 1 and taking place at Pocono's famed Tricky Triangle this Sunday, July the 31st on NBC Sports. Tonight, you're getting an exclusive peek at the digital versions of Tony Stewart, Kevin Harvick, and Danica Patrick's brand new paint schemes. For that race, Mobil 1 will be on the hood and under the hood for Sunday's big race as Mobil 1 goes 3 wide this weekend. Obviously, you see the number 14 Chevrolet Tony Stewart on board. Mobil 1 also on board the other 3 optional vehicles that these drivers have to choose from, the laser scanned recreations of not only the Chevrolet SS, the Ford Fusion, and also the Toyota Camry. These guys have been getting after it. 15 laps in the main, 37.5 miles. Pocono is a fun track, Andy. We talk about a couple of tracks, and there's so many on the sim. We talked about 70 plus different locations. Every single track that's on the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series calendar is on this iRacing service and available for you to hop onto and race with your iRacing subscription. But with that being said, there's a couple tracks that are probably a little bit easier to throw these guys onto than Pocono. Tony Stewart, we mentioned, though, a fan of this racetrack, more or less. 2 wins here in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series over the years, both in Chevrolets. But to the notion that this racetrack, again, is so extremely unique, and all the drivers running identical setups on their cars. We see some drivers shifted in the corner, some drivers like the high lane in and the low lane out. Some drivers like to hold the bottom, some like the middle. And I think that we're seeing as the race goes on, especially in that 14 machine of Tony Stewart, talking about how he's been on the sim all day long trying to get this car tuned in and get his practice behind him. All these other guys who are the best oval sim racing drivers on the service, they have tons of lap times here at the Pocono Raceway. For him, though, watching the progression in those first 60 minutes of practice from heat race number 1 to heat race number 2, although the stat sheet won't show it, he's really improving. And you can see, again, these guys aren't going easy on him. They're not racing around the number 14 machine and afraid to get close. They're bumping him, they're beating him, and they're going 2 and 3 wide at points.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, for these guys, it's an opportunity to race against one of the best that there is out there in the NASCAR circuit. So, yeah, they're going to race him as hard as they can. Of course, they want to beat him. At the same time, Tony wants to do well, and he did. This second heat race, I mean, what a turnaround as far as speed. I mean, just his entry in the corners was so much better. I mean, it just shows you track time on the sim is definitely a way to get better, to get faster, and it showed right there. And Tony did an outstanding job up until that point off of turn 3. Just a great job defending the positions, entering the corners, coming off the corners. He had plenty of speed. He had something to work for there, and you got to be pretty excited coming up for the main event.
And a big thanks again to Mobil 1, the official motor oil of NASCAR, giving us the opportunity to take a couple of peeks as that heat race number 2 went underway to see Tony Stewart in the sim rig and racing. And you can see just how the eyes were focused and deadlocked in his sim. He's got the 3-screen setup, again, talking about how there's so many different ways that you can get onto this iRacing service and compete. Force feedback wheels, motion simulators, and more. He's getting after it. Again, seat time, the single biggest thing, Tim. These sim racing guys are good. And real-world racing is a big difference. We talk about feeling the car moving around underneath you. I think the biggest difference is when Ray Alfalla goes to win heat race number 1, he's not going 200 miles an hour. That's a huge difference physically and I think mentally as well. So while there are those things that do separate the virtual world from the real-world racing world, now in the most recent years, especially for the newer generation of NASCAR drivers, these guys are in the sim a lot. There's several drivers competing in NASCAR's Top 3 Touring Series that not only have racing simulators back at their team shop that they used to prep for coming up to a race week, but many drivers have their own personal accounts here on the iRacing service that if you're on a hosted session at any given time, you could run into.
And you mentioned his sim rig that he's running with. It's comfort. It's like stepping into another race car for the first time, trying to get that comfort around the racetrack, trying to figure out where your braking points are, trying to figure out where you pick up the gas. And as you mentioned, that feel of the seat, going around these corners, trying to hear the tires squeal, trying to hear everything to try to figure out where you're going to pick up the throttle. That was the biggest thing, I'm sure, for Tony Stewart. And he comes up to this 15-lap feature upcoming here from the first practice a little bit earlier on this afternoon through the heat races. He has improved greatly, and we saw it there in that second heat race where he was up on the wheel fighting for a win in heat race number 2. So this feature is going to be good. Tony looks comfortable. The attitude of the race car on the racetrack looks a lot better than it did a little bit earlier on. So this is it's going to be exciting when we come up for this 15-lap feature momentarily.
15 laps, the difference compared to the 10 laps that we saw earlier on in the night. The big question will be, does that extra 5 laps maybe make a difference? We saw both in heat race number 1 and then later on in heat race number 2, the fact that we saw the race lead becoming a battle in the opening 5 laps, and then it started to spread out midway, especially though in that first race, getting inside of those final 4 laps. Maybe if we had an extra 5, they may have been able to go at it for the race lead. And I think the biggest difference, talking about the difference between going from the practice to the race, especially for the 14 machine, Tony, you look at the scenario where now we're going from 20 cars on track to 40.
Yeah, that's a huge difference right there. You're talking about double the amount of cars here in this main event. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch, and even some of these guys that are going to be further back that want to get up towards the front of the field. I mean, a lot can happen in the 15 laps, but if you're one of those guys towards the back half of the field, it's going to be tough, a tough call or a tough way to get up to the front here. It's going to take a lot of good driving there, and hopefully some bad luck from some guys in front of you.
Wrap it up, we'll bring you the final round of the Mobil 1 Virtual Showdown with Tony Stewart. Until then, check out this video, the Tricky Triangle Triple Time Lapse, which shows the number 4, number 10, and number 14 Chevrolet is being prepped with Mobil 1 paint schemes for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Pennsylvania 400 this weekend. The feature race is next. Welcome back to the virtual Pocono Raceway. Back with you at RaceSpot TV and iRacing Live from Long Pond, Pennsylvania. Tonight's Mobil 1 Virtual Showdown with Tony Stewart taking place on the iRacing.com service. iRacing is the leading online racing simulation developed from the beginning as a centralized racing and competition service. iRacing organizes, hosts, and officiates races on virtual tracks all around the world. In the fast-paced world of esports, iRacing is a one-stop shop for online racing, utilizing the latest technologies to recreate their ever-expanding lineup of famed race cars and tracks. All of the painstaking details add up to a robust lineup of cars and tracks that are virtually indistinguishable the real-world thing, giving sim racers unmatched immersion when they take the green flag at our online races. The next generation of sim racing software is used by professional drivers and casual gamers alike. Although iRacing is a racing simulator at heart, the value as a training tool cannot be overshadowed by the thrilling racing experience that awaits gamers looking for an esport driving experience unlike any other. Whether you're looking for the best online racing competition or prefer to compete against yourself and the clock, iRacing has you covered. To get started, all you need is a computer, controller, and a broadband internet connection. Go to iRacing.com and get signed up today. Gentlemen, 20 laps behind us. The 2 heat races have come and gone, and it's time to go feature race racing. We have 15 laps, just over 37 miles in this one. And again, feature race, still not all that long, Tim. These guys really going to be racing against the clock when you talk about that notion. We go from fields of 20 or 19 cars to 40 top to bottom, 20 rows deep. And Tony Stewart now, he's had all the track time available. We're going to see what the 14 Chevrolet has got.
And we see that outside of row number 1 with Tony Stewart. We haven't seen where the other drivers are going to slot in. This one's going to be exciting when we do go green flag racing here and see where these drivers slot in. And as you mentioned, it's 15 laps. It's 40 cars. Somebody, and maybe more than just one, going to have some work to do to get towards the front of the field, and they're going to have to do it quickly. If you remember back to Tuesday, when things get tight in a hurry, and it usually takes out a couple of cars with you. You really have to be on your toes, especially if you're starting mid-pack here in this one.
You take any driver, I think, and you toss them onto the iRacing service for what could be the first time. It's going to be a little bit of a learning curve. And to be fair, Tony Stewart, no regular rookie driver, if you will, to this. His credentials are quite outstanding. Talking about the Pocono Raceway, a 2-time NASCAR Sprint Cup Series winner here and a 3-time NASCAR Sprint Cup Series champion and a sure-in for the NASCAR Hall of Fame. He's been doing good against the drivers that he's competed against here tonight, and that we have seen in these last 2 heat races are the best oval sim racing drivers in the world. They've been on this service for years. They've had to work up through the ranks to the NASCAR iRacing Pro Series as well to get themselves into the iRacing Oval World Championship Series. Tim mentioned Tuesday night we were at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway with these guys. You can see them every other Tuesday night right here on Race Spot TV. It's stiff competition, 110%. You can take 98%, I think, of the thousands of members on this service, and they won't get anywhere close to the lap times these guys are running. So the 14, he's doing a good job. It's time to see what he's learned.
No, you're absolutely right, Evan. Seat time is what it's all about when you talk about the sim, when you talk about iRacing. And for what we've seen so far from the practice, heat race number 1 looked like kind of feeling out the track. You get in the heat race 2, I mean, he ran up front, top 3 the whole time up until that problem off of turn number 3 late in that race. So definitely you got to say that the something's feeling right now. He's getting used to it, ready to go, and we'll see what he can do here in this 15-lap feature event.
Practice is behind us. The field is set for the final time this evening. Let's go trackside and take a look at the Mobil 1 starting lineup for the feature race here tonight from Pocono. PJ Sturgis in the number 57 machine going to be given a pole position for this one. He'll start once again alongside on the front row, but the number 14 Mobil 1 Chevrolet of Tony Stewart, who rolls from P2. Alan Bowe's going to start tonight third position outside row number 2, P4 for Joey Israelson. Jake Sturgis will start in 5th position. Nathan Wise in the number 6 spot. Dylan Duvall 7. Adam Gilliland in 8th with Trey Edson 9th, and Robin Williams outside to row number 5. Rounding out your top 10.
Dylan Jones going to roll off from position number 11 in the 03. Chris Overland to the outside in a car number 47. Nick Ottinger was strong in his heat. He'll roll off 13th. 14th is Nick Johnston. Byron Daly in 15th. T-Loff 16th. 17th is Brandon Schmidt. Matt Busa, strong in practice earlier. He rolls off 18th. Ryan Lowe in 19th, and Casey Tucker 20th.
The 91 is Shane Doherty will start 21st. Dylan Rafferty, saw how great he was there in his heat race. He's going to start 22nd here tonight. 23rd, that goes to Blake Bryant. Michael Johnston, he will start in the 24th spot. 4th, it goes to Brian Blackford in that number 22. Tyler Hill will start 26th. 27th to the number 2 of Ray Alfalo. We saw win heat race number 1. And then Ryan Borges, 28th. 29th to Tyler Hudson. Taylor Hurst, he'll start 30th.
Round out the field, 31st position, Patrick Crabtree, Alex Warren, 32nd, 33rd, Timmy Hill, Greg McKinney, 34th, and Logan Clampett in the number 35 position, Andrew Fayash, 36th, and 37th, Justin Bolton, going to make up the starting grid for the Mobil 1 feature race in tonight's Mobil 1 virtual showdown with Tony Stewart. The cars doubled up behind the pace car as we get set for the feature race presented by Mobil 1. Whether it's NASCAR driver on the track or at Pocono or a race fan traveling to the racetrack on a race weekend, we'd like to thank you and remind you for a second that Mobil 1 technology offers drivers the ultimate engine protection against engine wear for both extreme and everyday driving conditions and keeps engines running like new. Mobil 1 is proud to be the engineering partner of NASCAR that makes these moments possible, whether it's on the racetrack or in your normal daily driver. Pace car, get it knocked down. It's in the hands of the drivers. 37 deep. They get set to go at it one final time tonight. 15 laps and 37 miles of feature racing from the virtual Pocono Raceway in Long Pond, Pennsylvania. Tony Stewart on the outside of the front row with PJ Sturgis in control of the restart. American Ethanol, green flag, we're underway.
57 car on the hammer behind him. Alan Bowes trying to make the move on Tony Stewart now to the inside. The 14 going to be stuck to the outside. And look at Dylan Duval taking that little peek to the inside of the 41 of Jake Sturgis as they funnel down into corner number 1. 25 car gets a great run. The 42 continuing to get on the back bumper of the 41. He wants to go early.
Too wide behind the 57-21 who are able to break free inside positioning. Most definitely the place to be on a restart here at Pocono. 41 machine deeper in the pack. Jake Sturgis now going to make the move to the inside. He rolled from the bottom, also gets through. So you see the 14 Chevrolet contact at a 2. What a save by Dylan Duval, and 3 and 4 wide behind to turn 3.
Crazy action right there with a little bit of contact. Dylan Duval won heat race number 2, trying to battle back now. It's 3 wide. He's got the 3 of Dylan Jones to his outside. He's got a 41 as well, too, just to his inside. They continue to battle it out 3 wide down the front straightaway. Nobody's going to give an inch here as they continue to make their way, and they close in now on the 14.
The wide restart down the front stretch at Pocono, not necessarily as much in turn 1, but they make it work. Outside is the 14. Got to give enough room for Duval and the 47 of Overland. Beautiful driving, still 3 wide to the Long Pond straightaway.
And Dylan Jones going to be a part of this battle as well. Look at the 03 car as they went 3 wide. The 03 has closed into the back bumper of car number 14. 47 of Overland taking a look to the inside of Tony Stewart. Nothing doing there through corner number 2. 14 car going to get the run out with the 47. Going to try to set him up down here into corner number 3. And oh, by the way, here comes Dylan Jones in cars 03. Looks like Duval has got past, as has Adam Gilliland. Gilliland trying to close in on those guys in front of him.
Number 14 already showing some battle scars for the contact that we saw the last time coming out of turn number 3. All of that completed in just the opening 5 miles in 2 laps of action. The race leaders take lap number 3, single file inside of the top 5. First battle on the racetrack remains with the 03 of Dylan Jones and a 14 of Tony Stewart on the outside. 51 looking for a place to go. The middle lane not good work. 14 shuts the door there, continuing to protect that top lane.
That was a huge run for Tony Stewart in turn number 1 there. Kind of entered on the high side. Got a huge run coming off the corner and allowed him to get around Dylan Jones now. Dylan Jones had him cleared as they headed into turn number 1. Tony Stewart will pick up that spot, move him up, or keep him in that spot, I should say, in the 8th spot now. Battle behind him, though, as they continue to go on. Dylan Rafferty trying to make up the moves. He's made up a lot of spots early on. He's made up from the 22nd spot, and now he's battling Dylan Jones for the 9th spot here as they continue side by side now off turn 3.
Talking about the heat racing and feature racing format, it has been interested in the first 2 races with the smaller number of cars. Look at the 90 Johnston, not going to give anything up to the one of Trey Edson. He'll shut the door all the way to the inside in turn 1. He's trying to see maybe some of the faster cars deeper in the pack try to work their way through the field. Again, the grid set by a random order. So with that being said, you're going to have guys. We've seen guys who finished inside the top 5 of the heat races starting outside the top 20. That's why you're seeing all of this chaos in the middle of the pack, side by side for what's going to be P8. Inside, Rafferty gets the job done. And now the 03 of Dylan C. Jones takes his turn on the 14.
As the 14 goes side by side with the 03, keep a half eye on the battle for the lead. Alan Bose tried to set it up going down into corner number 1. They get back to single file racing, but Alan Bose trying to make a move. And speaking about moves, the 14 car might be 3 wide here. The 105, they're lined up behind the 14. Now the 14 has the 90 of Nick Johnston to the inside, and this is about to get exciting down the front straightaway. The 05 and 51 throwing a couple of blocks at each other there down the front straightaway. The 1 of Trey Edson has a great run. He's looking at the 14 down into corner number 1.
Stewart has 8 drivers within 7/10 of a second behind him. They were 2 wide, 4 rows deep. That time across the start-finish line. 14 going to break away a little bit. Sideways off the corner, though, so is Johnston. You saw the 90 all the way to the infield grass to try to recover, and it's going to put him once again door-to-door to the tunnel turn. Inside should be the place to be, but the 14 seems to really like the outside in turn number 2. Getting after it, nobody gives up an inch. They stay nose-to-nose. This battle 5.3 seconds off of the battle with Sturgis and Bose for P1.
Yeah, that battle for the lead now off of turn number 3, getting awfully close here. They're bringing along Jake Sturgis as well into this mix as he continues to get this draft down these long straightaways to help him out. Half a car length now separating Alan Bose and PJ Sturgis for this race lead to head down into turn number 1. The gap continues to close down just a bit. Alan Bose looking for it, trying to get everything he possibly can in turn number 1. He's got a pretty good run now as they head down the Long Pond Straight.
Number 14, the machine still under fire. Look at the line behind these guys as we come off of the quarter. The 2 of Ray Alfala, Heat Race 1 winner, a 2-time NASCAR Oval World Championship Series winner, also up the inside of the racetrack. You wouldn't think that we've been green for 6 laps. This is so many cars and so little real estate. Somehow they've kept it off each other so far.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, that 2 car of Ray Alfala, he is on a mission. He started 27th. He's going to be near the top 10 before this lap is all said and done. He goes to the inside of the 51 of T-Loft to move up 1 more spot. Meanwhile, Tony Stewart on the outside line got the 12 car. Taking a look to the inside, that's Robin Williams. Got the wall a little bit off corner number 3 to Tony Stewart as the 34 closes up, tucks up tight to the back bumper. Does Matt Busa, seeing a lot of Mobil 1 in front of him as they'll drive it down into corner number 1, working lap number 7.
At 34, kind of stuck at the outside. Couldn't go high, there was a fence there. Couldn't go low, there was a car there, and he was on the back bumper of the 14. Gave that 14 Mobil 1 Chevy a little bit of a tap as he went down to turn number 1. Somehow we end up 3 and 4 wide down the straightaways, and I would think they wanted to get at least 2 wide to turn 1, talking about how Pocono, you really don't want to test some of these corners. And these guys not afraid. Contact in turn 2. The 44 car out of shape, and what a save in the tunnel turn.
That was absolutely fantastic right there from the 44. Logan Clampett did a great job hanging on to that machine. They'll battle 3 wide right now. They'll separate themselves just a bit as the 32 able to get around him, sneak around him right there just for a moment. Ryan Borges trying to hang on to that spot, but Logan Clampett back up to speed now, working the outside. They'll continue side by side down the front stretch.
Side-by-side battle for the race lead. PJ Sturgis on the outside, open up the door, and a 21 Mobil 1 Toyota of Alan Bose has gone to the inside. Door-to-door down the Long Pond straightaway at a turn number 1 as they head down to turn number 2 in the tunnel turn. Sitting behind them and waiting in the wings is Jake Sturgis. The 41 machine tries to decide who he wants to go with. He elects the inside.
And gets a little bit sideways out of that corner of the 57, trying to fight him off on the outside. They'll get back to single file racing. And Evan, if they continue to go side by side and fight hard for this spot, might close in Israelson, might close in Adam Gill and Dylan Duval and a few others that are back there. They're going hard for this lead spot. They'll come out of corner number 3. They'll attack the front straightaway. And the 21 car of Alan Bowe is going to try to lead this thing. They're coming up on lap traffic. I believe that's the 10 of Justin Bolton in front of these guys.
Bolton started deep in the pack here tonight at Pocono and rolled off from what was 37th on the grid. And well behind the field, he'll be the first piece of lap traffic that we'll see race leaders have to deal with the 21 and a 57 too wide. Curious if it was going to be a factor. 10 gets to the inside and out of the way. Top 3 single file up, but all with just half a car length in between them.
Yeah, this is still continuing to be a great battle for the lead. 3 cars strong right now. Alan Bose has taken it over just that last time ago. Has about a 2-car length lead right now over that 57 of PJ Sturgis as they continue to battle on. Jake Sturgis, though, right in the rearview mirror. He'll look to the high side now in turn number 3. Momentum going to get shot right there, trying to get what he can off the corner. As these guys battle hard for these top 3 positions. Get the battle just behind him as well. Joey Israelson, Adam Gilliland going at it right now off turn 3 down the front straightaway.
Gilliland, who started in the number 8 position, tries to continuously pick his way up through the field. The top 6 cars started inside of the top 10, so it's showing you track position. And here tonight, maybe a little bit of luck at the draw, where you ended up on the starting grid could be key to see just how well this night's going to end for you, as that battle up at the front of the field going to continue on. Meanwhile, talking about a lot of guys getting into each other, the 14 of Machida Tony Stewart was in a battle for 22nd spot. That car got loose off of the tunnel turn, and he is now taking that car down the pit road, trying to get it fixed up and get back out on the racetrack. Already had some left side damage after he was trading paint in the opening 3 laps. That one, though, going to force him down pit road to get some repairs.
And Evan, the driver that is on the march, is car number 8 of Adam Gilliland to the inside of car number 25 of Israelson for position number 4 as they'll go down the front straightaway. Lap number 11 10 put on the board, 11 being run right now, 5 laps remaining, or 6 laps remaining, as Alan Bowes out in front. Adam Gilliland has come from position number 8, and he's now to the inside of the 25, trying to make it happen.
The 8 started P8. He's open for a P1 result for his number 8 Mobil 1 Ford Fusion over Israelson. Not going to roll over on that one. He'll maintain the number 4 spot with a run on the outside of the turn 1. We get back down to turn number 2 and hard to the inside, giving it everything he can. He'll slide all the way through the corner and then shut the door on Duval. Adam Gilliland trying to get creative.
That was awfully close right there, but excellent car control by the 8 of Adam Gilliland. So easy. So many times we see drivers get loose like that into the corner. They come up into that car on the outside. Fortunate enough, a great piece of driving for Adam Gilliland, and Joey Israelson is breathing a sigh of relief now as he's got some space between them. About 5 car lengths now down the front straightaway. Dylan Duval, winner of heat race number 2. He's now trying to make the charge on Adam Gilliland.
The inside goes the 42 Chevrolet, side by side, outside, almost 1 lane up off of the racetrack. Might be the better place to be, what we've seen over the course of the night in turn 1, and it is. Gilliland able to defend that position. So much like what we saw up front, Gilliland goes for a move on 4th, can't get it, and almost loses the position he had. Same thing that happened in the battle for the race lead when we saw Alan Bowes being challenged side by side for the longest time. 21 got single filed out, and now 2nd and 3rd start to fall back, and they fight amongst themselves. If they get too wide for a little bit, it'd be great news for the 21 in front of the field.
The 8 car gets another great run on car number 25. I think he's going to be able to pull it off this time. The 25 going to have the 8 slide up in front of him. 25 going to cross him over down the front straightaway. 25 and 8 side by side. The 42 with Duval runs behind in position number 6. But man, out of corner number 2, that 8 car had such a great run. The 25 able to get back on the inside of him, and they'll dance down into corner number 1.
You can see the cars, the back end just does not want to stay planted to the ground. It slides up here, it slides up there, and they're chasing it all over the corner. That 25 of Israelson really wheeling that car that time at a turn number 1. Look at the 42 of Duval. He knows the inside is where you want to be in the tunnel turn, and he will not let Chris Overland have that lane. Overdrives it in too hard. What a move, the crossover off the corner.
Great move by Chris Overland, just biding his time right there. It says, hey, you want to block it? That's fine. Now he'll dive it way down. How about Duval now with a controlled slide into turn number 3? He'll slide back up. Now another crossover by Overland. They continue to battle for this spot. Overland, though, comes out on top.
You saw Gilliland trying the same thing, going hard. The 42 got sideways, and the patience there by Chris Overland to not keep the nose in on the outside, Tim back it off, cross it over twice in 1 lap is what moves the 47 up to P6.
Yeah, and he may have made the tires just a little bit angry at him, did Dylan Duval. Meanwhile, back up front, Alan Bowes leads by a second, but he's got the 10 of Justin Bolton right behind him, hanging on his rear as they go down the straightaway. PJ Sturgis, Jake Sturgis behind, and there's no competition for the top 3 spots right now as they'll work through the last couple of corners. And this time by, Alan Bowes will be coming up to the white flag in this one. Alan Bowes, a second out in front and trying to lock down this victory.
No challenge, it appears, going to come from the rear. As you see the number 10 machine, you mentioned Justin Bolton started at the back of the pack, running a little bit better at the moment. Would it be surprised if the 21 just tries to let him go on by? Last thing you want to do is get into it with the lap machine. That time by 13 laps down, 2 laps to go for the Pocono Raceway. Alan Bowes in front of the field for to maintain that 9/10 of a second gap, and he hopes he makes it last.
He's trying to hang on for what it could be the final time here as they come off of turn number 1. And then here it comes to right now, right behind him, PJ Sturgis trying to close the gap and do everything he can on this final lap. But unfortunately, it's getting awfully running out of time now as they head to the tunnel turn. PJ Sturgis trying to gain some ground. He did that last time, but gap's starting to grow once again. Alan Bowes now off turn 2.
To hold that 9/10 of a second advantage into the final time to turn number 3 for the 21 Mobil 1 Toyota of Alan Bowes. Started on 3rd, got up front early, and he enjoyed the clean air. He'll come off of turn number 3 from the Pocono Raceway. Alan Bowes going to collect the checkered flag. He wins the Mobil 1 Showdown.
And EJ Sturgis, Jake Sturgis, the two brothers will come home next. And then you have Adam Gilliland, very strong, but could not get anywhere near that top 3, finishes in 4th. And Chris Overland in 5th. Israelson going to fall back to position number 6 at the end of it after being so strong early. What a show put on by these drivers. And Alan Bowes got up on the wheel at the midway point of this thing and began to drive away with it over the Sturgis brothers, who are running so well in that NASCAR iRacing Series World Championship this year.
And you can see why these guys are the best of the best on the sim. I mean, this is the Pocono Raceway we're talking about, Andy. This is a racetrack where you stress track position, you stress being able to take your line through the corner, and yet they were 4 wide, I think, more than they were single file, it seemed.
Yeah, definitely, and it doesn't take much for that to happen. One guy stumbling off of any one of these corners with these long straightaways, the draft comes into play. That's why you see all this 4-wide action, 3-wide action. It makes it awfully interesting when they get down into the corners, how quickly they settle it down and be able to make it through those corners without any problem. So a lot of fun. These guys did a great job, put on a great show here for everybody.
The celebration is underway for the Toyota of Alan Bowes. Bring it down pit road this time by as the winner tonight from the Pocono Raceway. You have to look back to the number 36 position, Tim, and it's something that the guys in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series alike, along with this NASCAR iRacing Oval World Championship Series, have to deal with, is having a good car and being caught up in a wrong spot at a wrong time. Tony Stewart, we saw heat race number 1, got his legs underneath him. Great car, 3rd position in heat race 2, collected in an accident, and then this time, damage early, I think, hindered him, and he eventually went around into the fence. He'll bring it in, 1 lap down, but he did stay out there for that extra lap. He wanted to complete all 15 laps at the Pocono Raceway. He'll do so as he comes across the start-finish line. It was fun when that 14 was up inside of the top 5 and the top 10. Not rolling over for these guys who have hours and hours of additional seat time in this sim in comparison to him. He went toe-to-toe with them for a good amount of time.
I'll take away heat race number 2 from this one with the 14 and the 05 going at it. But how about Nick Ottinger, or check that, Dylan Duvall in that feature, he and Tony Stewart going at it. You mentioned that little bit of damage coming to the 14 car, but man, what a save by the 42, what a save by the 14. They put on a show this evening. Even though Alan Bowes comes away with the victory, we're going to have some memories from that 14 car from these 2 heats in that feature.
Not only is it an exciting event for us to be a part of, Andy, at Mobil 1, making it all possible, but as well for these drivers, again, this is a series in which they dedicate a lot of time to. A lot of these guys, when they race on Tuesday nights with their teams, they've got somebody in this sim with them, an actual person spectating in the sim, somebody acting as a spotter, somebody acting as a crew chief. They spend tons of times working on these cars, working on setups, iRacing, ever evolving, just like the real-world NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, a new tire model, iRacing's dynamic tracks, which have come into play in the last couple of months here, where heat is added to the racetrack over the course of a run, which changes the complexion of the race. All of that being said, this may be the most fun that they've had in quite some time being a part of this.
Yeah, I mean, you throw away all the pressure that they have every other Tuesday night, and you take away all that pressure, all that setup time, all that. They get to come out here, just have some fun, have some great fun, race around the guys they're used to racing. They're so familiar with how these guys are around each other on the track each and every week, and just to throw away all that, it's almost like an all-star event. Just come out, have some fun, do the best you can, and everybody leaves with a smile.
So as we continue on here, we want to thank Mobil 1 for coming on board once again for this Mobil 1 virtual showdown with Tony Stewart, putting on a great show here this evening. Alan Bowes coming away with the win, the Sturgis brothers up in front, and what a great show put on by these guys, Andy.
Oh, it was a lot of fun here, Tim, and we look forward to many more events and stuff like this. But it definitely it definitely just a fun thing for all these guys. And we'll take a look now at our final finishing results for this main event, and we'll look through all 37 of these drivers in this field.
Alan Bowes up in top, coming away with the win in the feature for the Mobil 1 Virtual Showdown with Tony Stewart. Second belonging to PJ Sturgis. His brother Jake coming home in position number 3. Adam Gilliland in 4th. Chris Overland in position number 5. Joey Israelson having such a great run in the feature. Going to come up shy in position number 6. 7th is Dylan Duvall. Dylan Rafferty having a great run in 8th. 9th is Dylan C. Jones. And how about Ray Alfala coming home in 10th after starting 27th? What a run.
That was a fantastic run. How about Nick Ottinger as well, too? A great night for him. He'll come home in the 11th spot. 12th goes to Trey Edson, who started in the 9th. Fell back a little bit towards the end there. Tyler Laughlin, another one of those drivers trying to make his way up through the mid-pack of the field. He'll finish 13th. Casey Tucker did a great job moving up 6 spots and finishing in the 14th spot. 15th, that goes to Ryan Lowe. Alex Warren in the 82 will come home in the 16th spot. Matt Busa will finish 17th. 18th goes to Robin Williams. Byron Daly in the 93 finishes 19th. Brian Blackford, the 22, he'll finish 20th.
Timmy Hill had some work to do in car number 4, subbing in for Kevin Harvick. He's going to finish in position number 21 here this evening after starting 33rd. Michael Johnson finishes in 22nd. Logan Clampett came from 35th, going to finish in position number 23. 24th is Taylor Hurst and Nick Johnston in 25th. Andrew Fayash III in position 26. Ryan Borges 27th. Shane Doherty in position number 28. Greg McKinney in position 29. And Patrick Crabtree rounding out your top 30.
31st here tonight, the 3 of Brandon Schmidt. 32nd goes to the 02 of Blake Bryant. Nathan Wise in the 24 finishes 33rd. 34th to Tyler Hill. How about Justin Bolton subbing in for Danica Patrick in the number 10? He'll finish 35th. Tony Stewart will come home in the number 14 car. He'll come home 1 lap down in the 36th spot. And Tyler Hudson in the 01, he'll round out our 37 car field.
So 37 cars here this evening, and a beautiful show put on by these drivers, presented by Mobil 1 from premium conventional to advanced full synthetic oil, high performance to high mileage oil. There is a Mobil branded motor oil to help you go the distance time and time again. And once again, these drivers went the distance here this evening with that 21 of Alan Bowes putting on a show. PJ Sturgis, Jake Sturgis will remind you that you can watch these drivers every second Tuesday night in the NASCAR iRacing Series World Championship. They just ran the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and in 2 weeks' time, they are going to run the Watkins Glen road course. And when you put some oval guys, Andy, on a road course, it makes for a pretty good show.
Oh, it definitely makes for a great show, and we look forward to that as well coming up in a couple of weeks. But overall tonight, Alan Bowes, a great job, not only to the guys that won the heat races, Dylan Duvall and Ray Alfala, but Alan Bowes getting the job done here in the main event.
Once again, Mobil 1 motor oils serve as the lubricant of choice for many of the world's top race teams who compete in the most demanding and popular motorsports series in the world. As we continue to work around here, and we're getting some post-race interviews queued up here, Andy, and the Pocono Raceway served as a training ground here this evening for some of these, and I'm sure Tony has picked up a little bit on the sim here this evening that he might not have learned before.
Oh, absolutely. We talked about seeing him maybe struggle a little bit in heat number 1, but then you saw him in heat number 2 running in the top 3 pretty much that whole heat up until the final corner. You definitely saw the difference as the track time went on for that driver, and he did a great job too as well up until the problems he had in the final race. But you could definitely see how the track time and being out there and running these cars definitely helps.
We're going to step away for just a few moments' time, and we will bring you back through post-race coverage from the Mobil 1 Virtual Showdown with Tony Stewart. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
I gotta say, I'm pretty excited about racing with you guys in the Poconos.
Me too. All of us driving with the Mobil 1 hood.
But even better, I booked us all Cupid suites at the Paradise Dreams Motel. Great chocolates, heart-shaped tubs, satin sheets. I can't wait.
contact made. 56 slides it into 4. Who's going to be at the stripe? Dead even. Give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
Virtual Pocono Raceway as the conclusion of tonight's Mobil 1 Virtual Showdown with Tony Stewart comes upon us. Heat race is coming and gone, and just the checkered flag has flown in the feature race. And I'm going to catch up with the driver of the number 14 Virtual Mobil 1 Chevrolet, Tony Stewart. Tony, you got a copy?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm still catching my breath after all this.
No kidding. Hey, we were talking about all the differences between the sim and the real world side of things, and then also all the similarities. 3-4 wide action. I know that you're never a stranger to that. It looked like it was fun out there for you.
It was. I felt like a duck out of water because I could tell running around these guys that they definitely know what they're doing and are good at what they do. I was in fear of being in everybody's way the whole time, but had two pretty good coaches here that kind of got me up to speed pretty quick. They did the best with what they had to work with today, but and it was fun to watch these guys. I mean, these guys are really, really good at it.
We were having a fun time topside with our bird's eye view, if you will. All of the action, you were able to start up front, and I know that heat race number 2 and even in the feature looked like it was going to be a good result for you guys. Didn't end up that way. You said you had fun. We looked on board with you a couple of times, and those eyes were dead on the screen and focused. What was the biggest part for you, challenging it, and also the funnest part?
You know, just the sensation of, not being able to, the difference between how our cars drive here and the sim car is a little bit different and quite a bit different in some areas, especially getting back to the gas. That's an area where once we're able to get it pointed with the amount of horsepower that NASCAR is taking away, once once we get it pointed, we can pretty much get in the gas and not have to worry about it. And that's where during the practice sessions and kind of watching during the race, you can see guys getting in trouble on the exit of the corners. It seemed like entry to center, everybody was pretty good. It's just the exit could sneak up on you and bite you. So that's where I struggled the most. But it was fun. I mean, it's really fun to watch, and these guys have picked up the same things that we try to do with the real cars as well, and that's just try to be able to carry momentum, but at the same time be the first one to get back to the gas and build that momentum off the corner. And that's where I was just getting the snot beat out of me today. It was fun to learn from those guys.
You noted that we kind of threw you to the wolves here tonight because these are the top of the top oval sim racing drivers in the world. Pocono Raceway, though, a track that they're not going to themselves on this 2016 calendar for their championship, and it is an extremely unique track. You have 2 wins here, however, in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, and you guys look now towards the real race this weekend. You got an extra 35 laps of practice on these guys. What's the difference going to be hopping back into the car?
I'm going to have to forget everything I've done for these last 35 laps and get back in the pattern and rhythm of what I'm used to with my Mobil 1 Chevy. So, the fun part was every session that I ran, and even from heat to heat, the little warm-ups in between, I could try some different things and was actually picking up a little bit of time each time. But you can tell you've really got to spend some time to get to the pace that these guys run and to get consistent. But it was, for those guys to run as close as they do together and not run into each other, even though it's virtual and it doesn't hurt, just knowing that you make a mistake, you can take somebody out. It was just really remarkable to watch and to be a part of it and to see how good these guys really are. But once tomorrow starts, I got to get back in the rhythm of what I know to do with my car, and I've got a couple other senses that they don't normally get in the virtual side that I'll be able to use tomorrow that'll help us get our Mobil 1 Chevy faster.
Mobil 1, the official motor oil of NASCAR, a huge part in making this possible here tonight and bringing you to us to join us this evening. They're also a big partner with you guys at Stewart Haas Racing on 3 of your cars this week. What's it like working with them?
They're awesome. They've been one of the best companies we've ever worked with, and it's something that I don't think people really realize is how active they are with the race team, and it's more than just a paint job on the car and them writing a check to us. It's these guys are here at the racetrack every week. They're working on the oils, trying to get our cars faster and faster, and it's getting us reliability or keeping us reliability, but trying to push the envelope and get us better fuel mileage and better resistance. So those are things that add up, especially at a place like Pocono that you have such long straightaways. Any resistance that you have is going to cost you speed. So that's why we feel like we got an advantage when we come to Pocono and some of these bigger tracks, because we know the products work.
Tony, I want to thank you for joining us here tonight and also sticking around and chatting with us here. Thanks once again. We wish you and the rest of the Mobil 1 team the best of luck, not only this weekend at Pocono, but the rest of the 2016 calendar as well. And hopefully we'll catch up with you soon.
Thank you, guys. It was a lot of fun, and truly it was an honor to race with these guys because they are really, really good at this. Obviously, it's the best of the best, like you mentioned, and it was pretty fun just to be a part of it with them, and hopefully didn't make too many mistakes and cause them too much.
It's the driver tonight of the number 14 virtual Mobil 1 Chevrolet SS. He hops back behind the wheel of his number 14 Stewart Haas Racing to Mobil 1 Chevrolet tomorrow at the Pocono Raceway. Tony Stewart joining us here tonight with the Mobil 1 Virtual Showdown with Tony Stewart. Tim, back to you guys in the booth.
So a very exciting race here, and Andy, great to hear from Tony Stewart after his first foray into iRacing. And as we mentioned, he kind of got thrown to the wolves here with this NASCAR iRacing Series World Championship. Alan Bowes coming away with the win. But what will you take from this evening in this Mobil 1 Virtual Showdown with Tony Stewart?
I'll just take away how much fun I think these guys had out of this. Short races, they're quick. They have to get on the ball right away, get to the front, make the moves. I think, Tony talked about how the difference was between the virtual stuff and to the real car he's going to get into tomorrow to start picking up the weekend there at Pocono. And it's a total different thing, but at the same time, there's still ways that are similar. So, and it was fun to watch like he said, in his practice speed into these little heat races and so on. It just seemed he got more comfortable with the car and with the way it felt on the track, and it showed. I mean, heat number 2 was incredible there, running the top 3 for the majority of it.
An exciting duel of 10 laps of heat action and then a thrilling conclusion with that 15-lap main here tonight from the virtual Pocono Raceway. With that, though, the Mobil 1 Virtual Showdown with Tony Stewart comes to a close. And Andy, before we step aside again, top oval sim racing drivers in the world going up against a surefire NASCAR future Hall of Famer in Tony Stewart. He went after him, and they went after him. There was not a lot of love between them. I'm sure that these drivers this weekend are going to be rooting him on to see that he can hopefully get the job done at the Pennsylvania 400. But tonight they were competitors, and they didn't take it easy on him. But Tony had fun, and I'm sure the drivers did as well.
Oh, absolutely. But let's take all these virtual sim drivers that we call them the best of the best. Let's throw them in a cup car out of Pocono. We'll see how easy Tony Stewart takes on them.
Yeah. One of the more bigger stages, I think, that we've seen with this iRacing service here tonight. Mobil 1, again, a huge part of making this possible. Tuesday nights here on Race Spot TV, the NASCAR Oval World Championship continues for 2016 for the 7th consecutive year. And the champion of this series with these drivers is an official NASCAR champion. They're going to go to Homestead of Miami Speedway at the end of the year when we see the drivers of the NASCAR Cape World Truck Series, the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series go to be crowned themselves and get their hardware down there. But for them to compete in this one, a huge moment, I think, to see how far that sim racing has come over the last couple of years. We see drivers in the top 3 series of NASCAR be on this iRacing service. To have Tony here with us tonight was certainly a treat.
Yeah, and they're going to be talking about this for a very, very long time. And Tony held his own, as we mentioned, in both of these heat races and the main event. And congratulations to Alan Bowes for winning it. As we mentioned, in a couple of weeks' time, we'll be going back, with the Oval Series racing at Watkins Glen, their only road course appearance coming up in 2 weeks' time on the Tuesday. But we talk about these big events. The iRacing Pro Race of Champions, I'm sure, is coming up as well. And I'm sure the iRacing staff have Tony Stewart penciled in on that one, because if he's as good tonight as he is in the iRacing Pro Race of Champions, if he can fit that into his schedule, I think that the field is going to be on watch.
Race Spot TV and iRacing Live is your home for iRacing sim racing coverage over the 2016 calendar year. Again, if you liked what you saw tonight and you want to get on track and to be a part of this, register now at iRacing.com and use PR-RaceSpot NASCAR when registering for a new iRacing membership, and you can get 3 months for the price of just one and end up on track with these guys. And who knows if one day you end up as well at the top level of iRacing Oval competition. That does it, though, here tonight for the virtual Pocono Raceway. A huge thanks to everybody from iRacing, and as well to Mobil 1 for being the presenting sponsor of tonight's Mobil 1 Virtual Showdown with Tony Stewart. Mobil 1, the official motor oil of NASCAR. Big thanks to Tony for joining us and all of the drivers for putting on a show here tonight. That's a wrap, and we hope to see you back here on the sim next time soon. On behalf of everybody on the team at Race Spot TV, for the broadcast crew tonight, for first off our director Hugo Luis, as well as for Andy Kessler and Tim Terry, my name is Evan Pizzoco. Thanking you for tuning in and congratulating Alan Bowes for winning tonight's Mobil 1 Virtual Showdown with Tony Stewart. We hope to see you again.